I know that time is money, so I'm here to talk about 5 ways that you can launch your course faster. So, the first thing is actually has to do with just the topic of the course. And you may be thinking, like, what does the topic have to do with how quickly I can launch? But the thing is that for a launch to progress and to go smoothly, you're going to end up talking and writing a lot about obviously the subject matter of the course, not just within the course videos themselves, but also in all of the marketing materials. Like, you want to get people excited about the course. You want to tell them that you're launching. You're going to have marketing events. You're going to have webinars, and you're going to have a sales page. And in all of those things, you're going to be talking about the subject matter of the course, like maybe doing a little free training about it, writing all about writing like marketing materials, emails, sales pages, all kinds of things about the topic and why it's important and why people should care and why people should take action in the course. So it really, like, it is a lot of work. I'm not gonna, pretend that it's not. So the topic has to be something that you're so passionate about and so knowledgeable about that you could like talk about it all day. You can talk about it unscripted. You enjoy talking about it. You enjoy thinking about it. You enjoy advising people on it. The we all know that time goes by more quickly when we're doing something that we enjoy and something that we're good at. So I would circle back to your topic. If you came up with a course idea and it has taken you forever to launch it, I would think about, is the topic the issue, right? Because I think sometimes people may try to launch courses for the wrong reasons. They think it's like a popular topic, or they see somebody else launching a course and on that topic and maybe being successful, or it's something that they know a lot about, but they not necessarily passionate about it. So if you're not, you have to be both passionate and knowledgeable about your topic. And if you are, I think that all of the work involved in the course creation and launching process will go by faster, or it'll seem like it's going by faster, right? Because you won't be procrastinating when it is time to put together your webinar slides, and you won't be procrastinating when it's time to like write emails for your launch or create the videos for your launch, because all of those things will center around a topic that is like near and dear to your heart. So that is my first piece of advice, is to make sure that the topic is like something that you can't wait to share and talk about. I'm going to give you 4 more topics. Be sure to stay for the last one, because the last one is actually the one that's like really simple, but really difficult to do, but also really effective in terms of getting you through the process and getting to that finish line of launching. So, number 2 is to have a specific and realistic game plan for launching. So, another mistake I see a lot of aspiring course creators make is they see the course launch as one massive project. And on top of that, they have sometimes they have unrealistic expectations in terms of how long it'll take. And unfortunately, I think those unrealistic expectations are sometimes like driven by like gurus in the industry that say like course in a weekend, or like 2 week, my 2 week process. And that's just not realistic, especially when you're thinking about like you have a zillion things to do for the course, and like somebody put it in your head that you're supposed to like do it in 2 weeks or something. So I think that my advice here is to not think of it as one enormous project. My advice is to break it down into like baby steps that are like no big deal, or at least manageable. So, for example, in my signature program, it's called the Kajabi Course Launch Accelerator. I break the entire process of like getting a course up and running on Kajabi and launching it in 10 steps. And I feel like yes, there's a lot to do. There's 10 steps, but if you just focus on one step at a time, it's doable. Like, even if you're working full time, or even if you have other things going on in your business, if you think to yourself, okay, this week I have to focus on this one thing, you're a lot more likely to get it done than if you think over the next, like, however long I need to, like, do this long list of things. So have a game plan where you map out the steps, and also like what would be a realistic time frame for each step. The other thing that I want to say here is, like, make sure you know what the steps are. So a lot of people have like kind of a vague idea of launching. So they're like, I know, like, I see a lot of people like having a webinar, and then there's a sales page, and then I launch, and there's actually more to it than that, right? There's tech, there's strategy, there's other things going on throughout the marketing and the launching process. So I would say make sure that you have a complete game plan, um, a realistic game plan, and a specific game plan in terms of like what to do week by week. And then I think you're much more likely to launch within your desired time frame. An analogy I could give here is if you are doing any big project and you attempt it without a plan, right? So have you ever tried to assemble like a piece of furniture, and like, let's say you just like open the box and start tearing through like the nuts and bolts and screws and whatever, all the pieces of the furniture, right? And like, you're just like, my goal is to assemble this desk, but like, it's like a mishmash of like 100 different pieces that came in the box. Like, it's going to take you forever to assemble that desk, right? But if you like take the time to get the instruction manual, and to maybe read through like ahead of time what are all the steps to assembling this desk, and then just like not try to do step 8 before you've done step 1. If you do the steps one at a time, like, the steps are not that bad. The steps are like, attach part A to part B, and then step 2, attach part C. It's not that bad when you look at it that way. But if you're just like, oh my God, there are so many parts and this is going to take me hours, you're not going to work efficiently. Okay, I'm going to move on. Number 3. Number 3 is take shortcuts. There is no shame in taking shortcuts for creating a course. And I just want to qualify this statement because there are some shortcuts you shouldn't take. You never want to compromise, for example, on like the value of your course. So I wouldn't say like, fly through the video creation process and give people these like, you know, crappy videos that aren't helpful. That is not a shortcut you want to take. What I mean by shortcuts is, throughout, there are a lot of people who have done this before, right? There are a lot of people who have launched successful courses before. And there are a lot of people who are experts in the various areas of launching a course. So for example, copywriters. There's a lot of copy involved in launching a course. There's writing emails, there's writing your sales page, there's writing your webinar registration page. You're going to be doing a lot of writing. Some people are pros and really good at copywriting. A lot of people are not. So if you're not a copywriter at heart and you're trying to write the copy for your launch, starting from scratch, looking at a blank page, thinking, what do I write? It's going to take you a long time because it's not your thing. It's not your area of expertise. And there's like no shame in that. Like, everybody has areas where they're really good, they excel, they can do things quickly. And then other areas where it doesn't come naturally and it takes longer and it doesn't come out as good, right? We all have that. We all have those strengths and other areas of our business that don't come as naturally. So my recommendation is to utilize things like templates, swipe files, like customizable things that other people have created that you can use so that you're not starting at zero when you're creating the various assets you need for your course launch. So some examples: Kajabi templates, right? So if you're launching a course with Kajabi, you are going to need to put together a lot of pages in Kajabi. You need your webinar registration page, you need confirmation pages, you need your sales page, you need your course dashboard, you need just to create a lot of things in Kajabi. And if you're not a Kajabi expert or a designer, it's not easy to create those things on your own. But if you utilize a customizable, kind of already done for you Kajabi template, it's more plug and play. Like you put in, yes, you have to put in your own copy and your own images and branding, but at least you have something to work with instead of starting from scratch. So that is one of the reasons that I give Kajabi templates as a bonus in my program, because I feel like I'm not going to make people waste time trying to figure out how to design Kajabi pages on their own when it's something that I do all the time and I can easily provide the template for you to start with. Another example is webinar slides. So when you're launching, you typically do some kind of free training or some kind of an event where you're teaching and leading into your launch, right? And so a lot of times that involves creating a slide deck, a presentation, and that can be time consuming as well. Not necessarily as difficult, but time consuming nonetheless. And there are a lot of gorgeous webinar and presentation slide decks out there that are either free or pretty low cost. So if you start from those things, you'll be able to put together your training a lot more quickly. Another example is you may want to give downloadable resources to go along with your course or with your webinar training. So for example, with the webinar, you might want to say, I have this workbook that you can use to follow along. And for your course, you might want to give a checklist or a workbook or some kind of guide that goes along with the video training, right? And so there are tons of done for you things like that, things that you can customize and download as a PDF, so that you're not starting from scratch. Like I said, with the webinar slides, there are tons of options for those other resources that are either free or very cheap that you can use to accelerate your progress. Fourth thing, sales pages. Sales pages are fundamental to the success of a launch, right? So you want to be able to write a really effective sales page in order for it to convert into sales. And that's not easy. And a lot of times it takes a lot of practice and a lot of knowledge of sales psychology and what things influence conversions. So if you're a first-time course creator and this is not your area of expertise, I highly recommend following at least a structure, a proven process for structuring your sales page. And some experts, like copywriters, even offer a template where it basically says in your first section, say this, and in your second section, cover this. So if you follow that proven method to build out your sales page, you're going to be a lot farther along and also have a better chance of getting those sales than if you're just trying to figure it out entirely on your own. That's another thing that I'm including as a bonus in my program, is that guideline for creating a sales page, because I'm trying to throw in everything possible to make the whole process of launching a course easier and faster for you. Email swipe files are another shortcut that you can take. So you're going to write a lot of emails during a launch. You have to invite people to a webinar. You have to remind people to attend the webinar. You have to send out a whole bunch of emails to direct people to get them to go to the sales page and to get them to enroll in your program. The emails are super important. And unfortunately, that's something that a lot of people kind of either skip or go through too quickly, because they don't know what to say and what to write, and it's taking a long time. So I recommend, if this is not an area that's your strong point, I recommend using email swipe files. So just like with the sales page, but for emails. So it's like kind of like guidance and structure on like what to say in each email. Okay, so that's number 3, take shortcuts. Number 4, my fourth way to save time when you're launching an online course is expect to get stuck. Expect that you're going to hit roadblocks, that you're going to be confused, you're going to have questions. I think that what where the problem is not that people get stuck. It's the problem is that they get stuck and they see it as like the end, right? Like, so they're stuck and they're like, I just can't deal with this. Like, I'm going to do it later. Or like they kind of get into this like mental jumble, like, you know, um, this isn't working. I don't know what I'm doing. You know, just like all of this, like it's like a downward spiral when you get stuck. And that that is what causes the delay, I think, in the launch. Like not the fact that you're getting stuck, but it's all like the mental stuff that comes from getting stuck. So, or and when I say stuck, I mean like confused or uncertain, you know, like that kind of thing. So I think for a course to progress, for you to get to that finish line of launching, it's important to anticipate that you're going to have questions. At some point, you're going to get confused. At some point, you're just going to be like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do, right? Be prepared for that, and just make sure that you, when you get stuck, that you just say, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to be resourceful. This is not the end of the road. This does not mean that that I shouldn't do this. Like just have this different attitude about, getting stuck, and like recognizes like everybody gets stuck and that's okay. And I can figure this out. Like I'm a smart person. I'm a motivated person, and I'm going to be able to figure this out. And then know like what are your options for overcoming that roadblock. So are you going to reach out to Kajabi support? Are you gonna like Google it? Are you in like a Facebook group, or do you have some kind of mentor who like you can talk to, or do you have like a fellow course creator that you can ask, like a business buddy? I think that having some kind of resource that you can turn to when you get stuck is critical, because then that little snag will be just that, like a little snag that you can get over, and it's not gonna like snowball into this thing that like postpones your launch indefinitely. So that is why in my program, the Kajabi Course Launch Accelerator, I offer A, tech support, and B, group coaching where you can get feedback and you can ask your questions so that you never feel stuck. Because I want you to be like okay with like the fact that you don't know what to do and you need help, and you know like where to turn to ask for that help. Okay, fifth thing, and this is the thing that I said is the simplest, the most difficult, and also the most influential with keeping your launch on track. And that is work through your fear, work through your doubt, and work through your imposter syndrome. This is kind of like along the same lines as what I was just talking about with like getting stuck, but in a broader sense. So I think that like people just have really, really high expectations of themselves when they're trying to launch a course. And also, they have like a skewed vision of like seeing other successful course creators who tell you they're having these like 6-figure launches, or they have this like dream business, and then you're like trying to figure it out and get your first launch out there, and you're like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Like I'm a disaster. Like, I'm never going to make this work. Nobody's going to buy. Every single course creator says to themselves, nobody's going to buy. I think it's part of this journey. Having an online business is not easy. Launching a course is not easy. And I don't know if you're like, think that, you know, I think if you go through the process without having those like pangs of misgivings and doubt and like insecurity and uncertainty about whether it's going to work, like I think you're a unicorn. um, Even the most successful course creators like have doubts like about people buying and about the fear of putting themselves out there and like, what if I like have this webinar and nobody attends, or what if I put in all this work and nobody buys, like, that's hard. It's hard, like a hard mental thing to get through. And I think any successful online business owner would tell you that one of the secrets to their success is developing like mental resilience to get past those moments. It's not having those fears and doubts, it's having the resilience, the motivation, and the self-confidence that you should do it anyway, and that at the very least your launch is going to be a learning experience. And it can, like, even if you don't make sales, you can grow your email list, you can kind of like get some feedback about what to do better next time. You'll have some confidence because every time you do a launch it does get more comfortable and easier, and you do become more confident. So I would say, like, push past the fear and those moments of doubt. They're only temporary. Like, sometimes like I'm like, I get in that hole of imposter syndrome with launching, and I'm like, maybe I should just be doing something else, right? But then literally a few hours later, like someone will send me an email, like, or, I'll get some testimonial, or like something will happen where I'm like, this is awesome. Like I feel so good about this, and it's a total roller coaster. And I would say ride the roller coaster, push past the fear, and I think that alone is going to help you get to that finish point. Like, just make a commitment, make a promise to yourself. Like, I am going to do this, and I'm going to like push past the doubts and the fear, and I'm going to do it anyway. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope you check out my free training that is coming up next week, and also the doors to my program, the Kajabi Course Launch Accelerator, will be opening, and I would love to see you there.